Welcome back to Healing, Empowering, Accepting, and Living, a podcast sponsored by Change by Fire. We are excited to have you here with us today as we continue to explore and delve into the topics of burn healing and recovery and all of the lives and patterns they impact on the way. My name is Jen Severance. I am a burn survivor and
And my name is Lori Janik, and I am a 15-year burn advocate, social worker, and current holistic trauma therapist. So, we're going to start off with a little bit of a recap of episode 2 of our Building and Bolstering Relationships series, which was Relationships and Burn Healing, Connection and Disconnection. So, last episode, we talked about burn injuries and just some of the social and relational aspects of healing. We did a little Q&A with burn survivor Ashley Perro, and she shared some of her strategies of confidence and faith and finding a sense of community in healing. How have you been able to apply our takeaway technique, that write and rehearse, to explore further how to recognize addressed changes, needs, and boundaries around your own relationships forward in healing? What have you found that's maybe helped empower you toward a sense of reconnection? And maybe what hasn't worked so well? I mean, let's be real. Not every strategy, not every technique works well for everyone. So there is a real value in practicing and applying and attuning and taking what is yours. We would love to hear more from you. This episode, we're going to focus on the burn survivor and partner relationship in healing from the perspective of the partner. So let's take a look at how love and connection come into play in a healing relationship. Let's get healing.
burn injuries and relationships, two very big and intimidating spaces of life to encounter indeed.
Hmm.
And we are placing them both together in discussion this season. Both take a lot of work and energy, don't always progress as predicted, and bring a variety of physical, emotional, social, and mental needs to address. Healing from a burn injury takes a significant amount of time, effort, and energy.
Hmm.
And that's just the physical healing process. But what about the emotional and mental? How a survivor feels now about their body, their ability to move, to function, their appearance and attraction to others, and importantly, their ability to maintain and or find and build a relationship. Yeah.
And I think that's something big that we don't always take into consideration when someone's injured and goes to
Mhm.
the hospital or goes to clinic setting or wherever they go to heal is how are others around them impacted?
Mhm.
And how are they themselves impacted and how those two work together or don't.
Right.
So, feeling good about yourself and your body are really key aspects of confidence. And these are some things that are greatly affected and often struggle factors early on in healing, as we have identified in some of our previous episodes. Changes in how burn survivors see and feel about themselves also affects how they show up in a relationship. Their efforts around maintaining, growing, building that relationship, and can bring a tremendous amount of fear, concern into relationship roles and functioning. And that in turn can impact how their partner or potential partner responds, their own emotions, and can create a wedge in relationship development, relationship functioning. And we identified several different types of relationships before in our episodes on this season, and romantic relationships being an important one. And the prospect of romance changing or shifting or being different after a burn injury is a devastating factor and fear for many. And what might be some of those fears that someone might go to when they're injured? Maybe that their scarring could impact their sense of attractiveness, their intimacy potential. Maybe that they'd be unable to show up in ways that they really desire, that they want to for their partner. Maybe that they have to depend on them for things that previously before they did independently. That the trauma, the changes surrounding the accident could be too much for a relationship to handle. And these are big and real issues that face many survivors in healing.
Yeah, and oftentimes, the partner of the burn survivor is also consumed by shock,
Mhm.
fear, many emotions paralleling that of the burn survivor. The partner is faced with navigating a hospital system, the variety of roles
Mhm.
supporting their loved one in healing, and learning how to both understand the healing process and advocate for their needs at the same time. Oftentimes, there can be gaps in the communication surrounding this process between professionals and survivor and loved ones, which can further complicate the relationship process. And the partner often has to put a part of their life on hold, their jobs,
Mhm.
hobbies, outside involvements, and additionally have the role of navigating their children's support
Mm.
and needs alone. In addition to one of the most daunting roles of being a caregiver for the loved one now in healing. So,
Wait.
mhm,
So, going from lover,
mhm.
partner, spouse to caregiver or both together, what a role confusion. I mean,
Yes.
having to help your partner, and I know you went through this, Jen,
Yeah,
with
sure
you and
did.
your partner,
Mhm.
just change dressings, do therapies, help you with toileting, with hygiene needs, and be that communication, that conduit for others, that advocate in healing, and be the partner. It's no wonder that many relationships can really struggle to maintain, to thrive post burn and trauma injury. And yet, not all.
Mhm.
And so that's a big thing I want to focus on too. It does not mean that your relationship is set to fail. So, the impact actually, they've done some studies on this. The impact of love and affection on burn survivors and healing is such an instrumental support to their sense of well being, to their confidence, to growth. And when a partner is committed, is able to communicate and respond with a sense of curiosity and concern and empathy in this healing journey. Those are some key characteristics that can really pave the way in supporting relationships through the healing process. And we're fortunate, super fortunate, to have such a supportive relationship model of a partner in our guest speaker today. So, our guest speaker today is Justin, and Justin is the spouse of Ashley, who we met in our previous episode. And he's been a big part of much of her healing journey and life forward. So, welcome, Justin. Thank you so much to being on our podcast.
Hello, Jen. Hello, Lori. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate being here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. So, Justin, can you share with us about how you met Ashley? We heard a little from her in our last episode. I understand it was after her burn injury, correct? When did you, what did you notice upon meeting her and what allowed the relationship to develop?
Well, that's almost a two-part answer for this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of weird.
You're
Uh,
allowed to give both parts.
oh, okay, great.
Take your time.
I met her. Well, I met her approximately 3 years after post-burn injury.
Okay.
So she was burned when she was 16.
Mhm.
Uh, when I met her, she was 19 and attending college at ASU. I the weird thing about this story is I actually saw her about a month prior to meeting her. And at the
Oh.
time, I recognized it was just in passing. She was walking down campus, and I think I was riding my bike at the time because everybody rode bikes in KSU then.
Mm.
And I passed by two girls walking, and I noticed her, and I noticed the injuries, and I thought, "Wow, what happened?" At the time, and then the second thought was, "Wow, great on her," because again, this is back in 2001. Uh, I'm pretty sure it's similar now, but all the girls at ASU in the summertime, short shorts, tank tops,
Oh,
all
out of
over campus.
necessity.
Yeah, out of necessity, absolutely, right? Eh, but there she was, walking around ASU, shorts and a tank top, just everything on display. And I was like, "Wow, what happened? Wow, amazing, good for her." And then turned out later on that uh, we went on our first date with a group of people. It was kind of more of a blind date situation. I didn't know what she looked like at the time. She didn't know what I looked like at the time. Um, and during the date, she was wearing long sleeves, tank top, jeans,
Mm.
covered to the T. You know, hair was framed around the face. You couldn't see anything really at the date. And we went on the date, and I didn't really see a whole lot. It wasn't until I want to say our third or fourth date, I think, where I actually saw more of her arms and legs, and I was able to put two and two together of, "Oh, I did see you a month prior." And then at that point, it was, we I was always upfront and honest and asked her, "What happened?" And then at that point, it was never really an issue. I haven't really seen him since.
Aw.
So,
Mm.
and here we are.
So you noticed them pretty quickly, pretty early on in seeing and meeting her, but yet you also didn't kind of see them. You saw her
Yes.
through, like, it's a part of her, it's not all of her.
Yeah.
How did she share with you about her injury, about any of her
Well,
healing her needs? And how did you respond to that level of vulnerability and just the unique needs that burn injuries have? Because it's not like a one and done thing. I mean, there's regular support needs
yeah,
required throughout a duration.
yeah. There was a lot of question and answer. It
Mm,
was is it so take for instance arms, leg, things of that nature, exposed skin. What can I touch? Where can if because she's burned all the way through her hands and fingertips
mhm,
and all the way through, and so it's can I touch you? Can I hold your hand? Can I touch
mm,
your arm? If I touch your shoulder, um, there's just different areas that you don't think about
mhm,
when talking to normal people, or go up to a coworker, pat them on the back. You don't think, oh, is this going to potentially hurt that person?
Yeah.
Is there scarring? Do they have the feeling in that area?
mm,
um, there are areas that she says she doesn't like to be touched at because there's no feeling,
mm,
Mm.
and it's like having a dead area on
mhm,
your arm and or leg or foot or hand. And it's just a lot of communication. We've had to talk about where can I touch, where can I hold your hand, hold your arm, grab your arm if necessary. Um, what hurts, what doesn't hurt,
mhm,
what's happening now. And then on top of that, oh gosh, it's such a complex process that we've gone over. Now, keep in mind, we've been married for 21 years, dating
Aw,
since 2001.
congratulations.
So yeah,
Such a depth
so
of
it's
time.
I have to go way back and think about like,
I have to
how
test
did
my
this
memory
start?
capacities.
Yes, I'm really digging deep in here. And it was just there was a lot of communication. It was what happened, how did it happen? I don't think she came out with everything that happened to her all at once.
Mhm.
It was a little bit at a time. It was the first day was long sleeves, tank top, The second one was short sleeves, but still jeans. So I still hadn't
Mm.
seen the extent of everything yet. And then obviously through time and further getting to know her, more was revealed.
Mm.
So
Oh,
I'm hearing there's so much like, I mean, communication is such a huge aspect in any type of
Mhm.
relationship, and you were willing to ask, and she was willing to share. And it was kind of like, I like to call these like trust build things. Like in a
Mhm.
relationship, I get a little bit vulnerable. I see how you handle it. And then you get a little bit vulnerable back. I see. And so it's like a back and forth kind of reciprocity share. And how amazing that you were willing to ask and to explore, and she was willing to receive and to share. And that's kind of built and grown your relationship.
yeah,
It
I love that when you first saw her, she was this free, open, "I'm wearing shorts, it's 100 degrees out, I don't
yeah,
care." But then when
yeah,
she knew she was going on a date with someone and she knew she was gonna have a little more of that intimacy and a one-on-one,
Uh,
that she started
yeah, guard
here
goes up.
and slowly dropped it for you.
yeah.
It's very cool. And how have you seen Ashley's burn injury and healing needs affect your relationship development? Have you had to step into some of those dual roles of advocate, caregiver, parent lead? And what was that experience like for you?
It's been a challenge, at
Yeah,
times.
Mhm.
It's definitely it's in a lot of ways, you would say it's a standard relationship.
sure.
Give, take, give,
Mhm.
you know, everybody kind of does their part, but there has been times, um, as the years have developed, the needs have changed. Um,
Mm,
Early on in the relationship, she was 3 years post-injury. She was still getting surgeries. Uh,
Mhm.
sure.
we were still having to fly. I think she was we were flying back to Sacramento,
Mhm.
uh, to UC Davis
Mhm.
for the Shriners Hospital that they were doing the surgeries there.
Mm.
She's had multiple scar release, band release, things of that nature throughout the course of the years. So, she's had, oh gosh, interestingly enough, her physical appearance has changed as well
Hmm,
during those times. So, obviously, depending on the surgery, depends on the amount of recovery time she has. Uh,
Mhm.
when I first met her, she had a patch. I think it was down here or over here. Can't remember what side it was. Again, this is really hard because I don't see this aspect, so I don't focus on this aspect. This is not something that I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. It's she's Ashley. So,
yeah.
um, but she had used to have a patch, and what they did was they had to actually take it and stretch some of the skin over, and
Um,
essentially got rid of a lot of scarring
uh-huh.
with a flat piece of skin.
Uh-huh.
Mm,
Um, Turned great, but there was a lot of healing involved with that. Stitches.
Mhm.
Had to make sure the wounds were clean. Um, and then on top of that, as the years progressed, we had a family, multiple children, and when she goes into certain surgeries, she has to take extra time off. So it becomes, like you said, the caregiver, not just for her, but
Mhm.
also for the kids. It's
Yeah.
trying to keep the
yeah.
kids away from mom who needs to sleep right now versus,
Aw.
you know, well, where's mom? Why can't mom do it for me?
Yeah.
We do go through those times because every parent, every every couple goes through that with kids where, you know, the kids always go to the one parent and ignore the other one who's sitting right in front of them.
Yes.
Are you saying it tends to be one particular parent versus the other?
Yes, and I've noticed that the mom that especially gets that special treatment.
Mm,
Uh, they will walk right
Ashley?
past me and go looking for mom and go looking for
she's the
Ashley and
boss.
say, "Where's mom?" And I'm like, "What do you need? I'm here. Come talk to me." And
Uh,
of course, that doesn't always happen. Or I'm in another room and they go searching for mom. And next thing I know, she's up trying to make some dinner or something. And I'm like, "What are you doing? You should
uh.
be sleeping." And they're like, "Well, they just came and got me." I'm like, "They walked past me 5 times. Not a thing was said." So there's been some of those challenges, obviously, as well. As the girls have gotten older, it's easier because they understand when she needs the time, she can take it.
Uh-huh.
So when they were young, it was a lot more difficult, especially babies.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
you come into that experience, and I joke around with Ashley. It's like, oh, it's time to put on my single dad pants and dive in. It's it's not a condescendingly. It's just it's more of a joke, but it's almost what it's like at times because
Yeah.
she has to do her thing in order to get better to do her thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
So for you, I mean, like you've kind of gone over this a little bit, just like as far as whenever individuals really kind of reflect on and share their healing journey, I think there's a value to looking at both spectrums, both sides of it. So we're going to gauge the difficult and then we're going to move to the celebration. So for you, what have been some of those more difficult aspects of your partner role? And you mentioned a few of them that you've faced. And what's helped that for you?
boy,
What has helped you through those difficult roles?
sometimes it's just keeping her spirits up.
Mm,
Um, mentally, so the everybody goes through highs and lows. You have good days, you
Yep.
have bad days, and then it's not everybody can have a perfect day every day. It's just what it is. And there's days when she feels the impact of what she's had to deal with more than others.
Mm,
Um, and I've had to take a step back a few times and realize that because I don't see these things doesn't mean other people do not, and that sometimes it will get to her. And it's one of those
mm,
we've had to speak about these things and come to the
mm,
you know I won't see it because I don't go, I haven't gone through it. I'm not
mhm,
I'm not the burn survivor.
mhm,
Uh, I don't get I won't experience the level of healing, trauma, pain, recovery that she's gone through, and I have to understand that. So a prime example is this was actually a tough one because I didn't see it at first. Job hunting.
mm,
Um, for I tell her, she's like, I need to she early on in the relationship, we established pretty early on that she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and she can take care of our children and do those sorts of things. Um, but there was a time there before we had kids or when the kids were really young. She wanted to go out and get jobs and do things like that.
mm,
I suggest, hey, go get this job. Hey, go get that job. Hey, apply for here. Hey, apply for there. And there's been a few times she's walked in and been told, I don't think this job is for you.
mm,
Uh, and it wasn't based upon her skill set. It wasn't based upon anything like that. It's just she didn't get the opportunity to be listened to.
mm,
And that was actually one of the struggles that I had because I never saw it.
mm,
I never dealt with that sort of thing. And to hear my wife, my you know, my loved one say, "Yeah, I went into the interview and it was 10 minutes long and they told me the job's not for you." And I was like, "Well,
mm,
why not? You're perfectly skilled." She was judged based upon the look, the
mm,
scars. Um, and that was really my awakening for the whole thing. Just
mm,
because I don't see it doesn't mean other people don't. And she sees it. She sees sometimes the looks and things that come her way, the separate looks. It's unfortunately hers is not one that she can throw on a t-shirt and hide it. She can throw on a pair of pants and hide it. It's there everywhere, all day,
yeah,
every day. And I've had to come to terms with that myself to help support her, when she has those low days, when she has that struggle. What can I do for you to lift you up and bring you back um, emotionally, mentally? It's not always just the physical. There's a lot of
mhm.
mental. It's
yeah,
hard, and yeah, like that's been the biggest thing is realizing. Um, yeah,
yeah,
that was hard.
I think that's valid though. I mean, for mo I struggle with making generalizations. For many people, the emotional aspects and hindrances that they feel that their burn injury can create after the effect, post hospital, post physical healing, that is the hardest thing to navigate. And I
Yeah.
think having a supportive person to lift you up, to
Yeah,
help understand, empathize, and walk you through it is so invaluable.
absolutely. And like you say, you see Ashley. So for
Yeah.
her to be able
Mm,
to come home from an experience where she feels like people are looking at her
mm,
as burn victim,
mhm,
Yes.
as opposed to Ashley, it's
Yeah.
so important to come home to a
mhm,
partner and to a family that says, "Mom,
Yeah.
my
mhm,
wife, Ashley," right?
Yeah.
So,
mm,
on that more positive note, what are those celebratory moments, those aspects of your relationship that you've been able to meet and grow and nurture in spite of and through the injury and healing process? What are those like?
Those are the those are great moments because they
Yeah.
almost come out. It's almost hard to describe. It's like everybody has celebratory moments, but when you get those moments, they feel almost better,
Aw.
uh,
mm,
more real, I guess you could call it.
mm,
It's I've had celebratory moments in my life, but when she comes home, she has an accomplishment. She's done something, or she hits that stage. It's great because you genuinely see the joy on her face. You
mhm,
know, it's you see somebody who has the low moments, but then suddenly this is a great moment. We are happy. We're golden. One of the biggest moments that it's continuous celebratory moment, but having kids for her,
Mm.
mm,
having a family, having kids, something that we've talked about this, something she didn't think she was ever going to have.
mm,
Mm.
She was burned at 16 years old. Her life changed dramatically. She missed almost a year of school for
mhm,
it. Um, she had to push real hard just to graduate with her graduating class. And so she's lived with this since she was 16, and she wasn't sure she was going to get that family, kids, um, the things that you would see most people have.
mm,
Mhm.
And so it's a constant celebration for that. There's always, well, you have your kids, you have a life, you deal with the struggles everybody else deals with on a regular basis. So you can be somewhat normal. And then there's the times when she embraces her condition and she accepts it. I really enjoy those because
mm,
it's those times she doesn't hide from her. It reminds me of what I saw back when I first saw her at ASU, uh,
mm,
wearing the shorts and the
Mm.
tank top, just embracing it, walking around. I don't care what the world thinks. She may yell at me for this story, but she actually had a T-shirt for a long time. And I don't know if she told you guys this on hers. So she had a T-shirt that said "Keep staring, I might do a trick."
Ah.
Loved that shirt. She wore that all the time, and it was great because that's when I first started to notice people looking, and then we're like, let's just get the shirt. So we got the shirt. She wore it around. She wore it proudly too, and
I
Yeah.
people
love
would
that.
look. They would look at her, look at her shirt, and then they'd be like, "Oh." So
She's great.
it's the times when
Oh
she
my
would
gosh.
embrace it and just it's when she accepts. It's when she's accepted who she is and where she's at.
Oh,
Those are great
goodness.
celebrations because then you see that it doesn't get to her.
Oh,
You see the fire, you see the drive, you see, yeah, let's do this, and then
yes.
those are great moments. Seeing her truly, genuinely happy on those, it's hard to pinpoint an exact moment when I see it or when we've had those, but uh, certain things like star band releases when she gets that, then she gets extra mobility that she hasn't had for a while. Those are big
Mm,
because then she feels like, oh, look at me, look at what I can do. Like I cannot do this. I'm not struggling with this anymore. And I mean, she has great mobility for somebody who has the extensive injury she suffered. Her mobility is amazing. Spent a lot of time on that one. So releases, working, exercises, massages.
Mm.
If she hasn't told you about massages, I'm sure she did. But massages are the best thing. We saw those things being offered, and it was like
Yay.
she will swear by those up and down every day.
I
Yep.
love it. I was actually just talking with her the other day about seeing about getting her reconnected with some of those type of things. So
Yeah.
good things to come yet in the future.
Yes.
So telling and sharing your story, I think, is such a compelling way to really navigate healing, big life events, inspiring yourself, advocating for others. And I'll say this often can be a difficult experience for those outside of the burn survivor role. But yeah, also it's so compelling and empowering, I think, to hear from the partner, to hear from others involved in a burn survivor's life. So, how have you been able to address your own healing and support needs throughout this relationship? And beyond just this podcast episode, how have you shared your story? And what do you think what was it like? How was it received? Because it can vary on, your audiences, your population.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It does vary. So when I first introduced her to my family, I I gave them a warning. I didn't just walk in blindly. It was one of those, hey, you're gonna meet her. And just so you know, she is a burn survivor. She does have extensive scarring, things of that nature. Um, never another conversation after that. I'm sure she's talked to my family and my parents after that, but it was, hey, this is who she is. Please expect this. Uh, and things like that. Other than that, I think that's the only time I've ever pre-warned people about her because again, it's one of those things I don't see, so I forget. And then, we'll go to situations, we'll do things, and she's communicated with me about like her comfort levels at times because somebody might be looking a little too much or a little too hard, or she'll have to, hey, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot to say something.
Uh,
But I don't feel like I need to do that. But then there's times that I need to do that, and
What about
it's
you
hard to
though?
figure out which time it is, you know?
yeah.
What about you though? Like your emotions, your
I
perspective through all this, like your experiences. How often do you share or you speak on that?
Oh,
Because you were
wow.
such a great protector and advocate for her, and you are a great example of seeing an individual outside of what happened to them. But what about you? Because, like, you had your own
Me.
experience through all this thing, and, like, you've held multiple roles. Like, how often do you share and address kind of your own needs in this?
I don't know.
Ah.
I
Um,
think we've realized, like, an opportunity for us to
I don't know. I honestly I rarely I this is not me patting my own back. I'm not trying to sound humble. I don't consider my needs.
Hmm,
Um, I a lot of the things I do is I look at the things she's been through,
hmm,
and then I say, "Do I have something that really compares to what she needs? Are my needs as
Aw.
high? Are my needs as great? Does what I need rise to the level of what she might need?
Hmm.
Rarely do I ever feel it needs to be that way." So, that's a hard question for me to
that's
Ah.
answer.
fair, but that also might indicate kind of like a gap and an additional kind of support and attunement to your needs too. Because every relationship,
True.
again,
Yep.
2 sides. So,
Yeah.
my feelers and my spidey senses are tingling in terms of, "Okay, how can we navigate this?" Because I think this is another common place that
Yeah.
many spouses or partners fall into is they
Mhm.
overarchingly want to support and sustain and provide and be there for their loved one, but often at the cost of themselves. And how can we circle
Sure.
back and remind and attune to yourself and your
Yep.
own needs too?
And from the perspective of a burn survivor, and I'll relate this to people outside of my partnership, but for instance, I had a woman at work who burned herself with a curling iron, and it's always, "Oh, yeah, it was really painful, but not like your pain."
Mm,
And so as a burn survivor, it's
Huh.
like, yeah, it might seem like my pain is huge and there's no comparison to your pain, but pain is pain, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
And so I always find I need to remind people that, like,
yeah.
you are allowed to also have pain. You are also allowed to have emotional issues and to need support and help, regardless of how we're stacking
Mhm.
there's no comparison. We're all experiencing our
Yeah.
own path and we all need love and support.
Well, it's that
Yes.
same thing as, your experience
Mhm.
is not minimized by someone else's experience, no matter
Yeah.
the depth, and I think that
Yeah.
that's, like, a valuing piece too,
Yeah.
to take across.
Definitely hit on a subject that
Ah!
doesn't get addressed.
We've given you something to think about.
And yeah, yeah,
Wow.
you
So
did.
if you could share any wisdom to other spouses, or partners of burn survivors in healing, what might that be?
Mm.
Oh, communicate,
Yeah.
talk,
Yeah.
ask the questions.
Yes.
Be
I've
real.
found I've found through the years talking to Ashley, not just Ashley. We've attended multiple events, World Burn Congress a couple of times, where you see people that are who've had minor burns all the way up to people who are lost limbs,
Mhm.
Mhm.
facial features, things of that nature. I've found that one of the best things as somebody who's not gone through that, ask.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You may feel rude. You may feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't ask this question, or am I going to come off too forward by asking this question? But get it out of the way. Ask that question.
Mm.
What happened? Where did it come
Yeah.
from? How did you get that? And once that's out of the way, now the elephant in the room has been addressed.
Mhm.
See them for who they are. Now you get to hear their story, hear who they are, how
Mhm.
they've uh, overcome what they've done, and some of the some of the most amazing stories I've heard are for people who've overcome traumatic injury, who've
Mm.
made it through this, and still come out and still see the positive sides in life.
Mm.
That's amazing because God knows dressing changes, deep breathing.
Ugh.
You did it. You did it right there.
Yes.
That right
Ugh.
there.
Mm.
Yep.
Again, something I haven't experienced, but I've heard so many traumatic stories about it. And
Yeah.
to still come out and still smile, amazing,
Yeah.
Mm.
completely amazing. Some of the best people ever. Um, and then for partners, oh gosh, communicate with your partner openly, often. You see them struggling, ask them why they're struggling. Um, but then, like I guess we touched on it here. Don't take your own struggles for granted as well. I mean, something I haven't considered, and we've been married 21 years. We've been together since 2001, so I never stopped to consider that for me.
Justin, you need a spa day.
Why does
Oh,
everyone go to spa when it comes to, like, taking care
Ooh,
of
doesn't
yourself?
that sound good?
It does, but I mean, like, there's other, like, things as well too. I mean, like, talking with
yeah,
others that, like, who carry a similar role or kind
Mhm.
of attuning
Sure.
to, areas of, like massage is great, like, doing some somatic work around, where you trap up your attention, addressing your own emotions, and just having a place for your emotions to take priority.
Sure.
yeah,
Support groups. The burn group that where we met
yeah,
was
Yeah.
wonderful because I was talking to other people with the same situation. So, yeah, lots of different ways,
yes.
to be
Uh,
able to take care.
World Burn, like I said, was a major eye opening for us, or for
Mm.
me. How
Mhm.
about that?
Mhm.
She'd been to one before. She'd done things like that before.
Yeah.
I think we've also volunteered. I was at Camp Courage. We've done that once
Yeah.
in the past. We actually, Ashley and I went up there. We took our girls up there,
I
and
love that.
we helped out during the day, and then helped with the barbecue at the last day, and just kind of enjoyed talking to people and kids and stuff. And um, it's getting out there, and like I said, keeping the communication open is what just goes dramatic. Like I said, maybe I've got issues repressed. I don't know at this point, but
Oh my
but
god.
that
What did you
I
get out of this podcast? I learned that maybe
Just
there's some more things I need to work on. That is
oh,
not what we were intending,
no.
but it's more just
no,
being mindful of
Yeah.
yeah,
where you fit, where your needs
yeah,
fit, where your emotions lie as well.
yeah.
Indeed.
Good call.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time, your words, and the realities of your role as a partner, advocate, caregiver, parent, and
Thank you.
encourager of your loved one in the healing
Yeah,
process. Truly, you are such an example of the clarity, connection, and true support that can be found through some of life's hardest spaces.
thank you for having me. I
You
really
are
appreciate
so
this opportunity.
welcome.
Yes.
So,
And just like in every podcast episode, we really try to share some type of takeaway technique. And kind of the purpose is that is just to give you a way to kind of maybe apply some of the insights, some of the education, some of the focus or further learning on the topic that we focused on. And today is no different. This is honestly one of my favorite aspects, in addition to having guests, is like teaching and sharing ways to deal with, to navigate emotions, to navigate life. And today's technique is called returning to safety. And it's going to be a little bit of a meditative feel. So there'll be a little bit of a visualization to it. So if it feels most comfortable, I'm always a big fan of, if you want to walk with us through this and apply it and practice it, in real life, or if you want to save it, circle back to it later, whatever works best for you. So just taking a few moments to start, just to settle in to whoever you are, however you're showing up today. If you notice any tension in areas of your body, maybe dropping your shoulders, maybe rolling out, maybe taking a few breaths just to settle back into yourself, to your body, to be present. And I'm going to have you explore a relationship. So I want you to think on a relationship that you consider important in your life. And maybe it's that of a partner, maybe it's that of a close friend, maybe a parent. And as you think on this particular relationship, just notice how you see it. Notice any way that it comes up in your body. Maybe as you think on this relationship, there's certain sensations or emotions or thoughts or phrases or images. Just noticing what you notice, and get curious about anything that you perceive as safe or unsafe. Safe being something that maybe feels encouraging, comforting, helpful, soothing, and unsafe maybe being something that doesn't really feel familiar or is uncomfortable or off putting. And we're going to do a little bit of exploration into what a safer relationship might feel like. So, if you were to explore, if you've noticed any places of unsafety, and we all have them in all of our relationships, but if you've noticed any spaces of unsafety, what would safer feel like with this relationship? And notice if any words or feelings come to mind, or any needs. And we're going to explore your memory space of building with this relationship. So let's circle back first to the past. And can you think of a time in the past with this relationship that you felt safe, maybe included, connected, valued? And notice where your body goes when you think there. Maybe there's a little bit of softness, maybe a sense of soothing, maybe a smile comes to your face. And just spending some moments, if you can connect to something, to just take it in, to savor it. And we're going to explore and move to a future memory or something future that may come to happen with this particular relationship. Maybe if you're in the hospital right now, or if you're in kind of a clinic setting right now, maybe it's going back home, going back to work, going back to school, resuming date nights, something in the future, think on. And as you think on with this relationship, notice again, how do I take this in? This additional sense of safety that's possible in the future. Do any senses, emotions, experiences come into your body? Do your facial expression, does it change at all? And if you can think on and attune to that and bring that safety in again, spending just a few moments, taking it in, noticing that affect on your body, on yourself as you take in safety. And maybe thinking about people in your life that you get a sense of caring from, or that make you or allow you to connect to a bit of peace. Can you bring them into this sense of safety? And again, that could be a partner, a parent, a future partner that you might want to have, a close friend, maybe even the people who've cared for you in hospital and other settings. Notice as you think on those relationships where your body goes, where your mind goes. Notice what it feels like to have a sense of safety, sense of peace, sense of calm in a relationship. And what qualities might these individuals have in common? Maybe there's a sense of caring you notice, or a sense of grace or compassion, a softness. And just explore the qualities, the characteristics you know that help you feel safe. And notice what you choose to carry away from this. So, just a brief little kind of meditative reflection on what safety can do, how it can affect our thoughts, our experiences, our body, and the value of safety in a relationship. And notice, any of these characteristics that I noticed, any of these places that I went in my body, how can I take and apply this forward in the relationships that I want to build and grow?
Hmm, that's nice. You always come up with the nicest things. Wow. So we'll think on that and we'll hear
Hmm.
from you next time. So, in closing, Changed by Fire is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit committed to helping burn survivors and their families cope and thrive in life after a burn, emotionally, psychologically, and socially, utilizing alternative methods, healing methods such as EFT, equine therapy, burn scar massage, yoga, aromatherapy, meditation, breath work, and lots more. And we are excited to provide regular community events in Arizona to enhance relationships and community, as well as we are actively building out our website to showcase even more virtual supports and offerings as well. So check us out at www.changebyfire.org. And if you are interested in being on the podcast, sharing your tools for healing, your story, or if you're a practitioner and would like to further help us expand our reach, please reach out to us.
Yes, please do. We also have our sixth annual Arizona Walk of Courage coming up on Sunday, March 23rd at Rio Vista Community Park in Peoria. So, again, if you want more information on that, that is on our website. It's also azwalkofcourage. I always forget if it's .org or .com, but it's also on our website. So, great way to get connected with the burn community, great way to explore, to understand, to advocate more, to and you can participate virtually if you are outside of the Arizona area as well. So until next time, heal. Have a look at the relationships around you in your healing journey. Explore any areas of difficulty in functioning and flow, name them, attune to them. Allow yourself to notice and feel into those spaces of safety and connection that you can grow and learn to embrace and love forward as possible. You are worth all the healing. See you
Yes.
soon.
Thank you.